Hi guys, this is a watch that started my vintage watch collection. I bought this a year ago. I was just going back through the listings on eBay to see when I bought it, and yeah, 1 year ago almost to the day, I bought this lovely Bulova for £23 off eBay. As you can see, I've got an original Bulova box. Now, the watch didn't come with the box. I purchased the box separately, and that cost me, I think that was £7, something like that. I was quite lucky to come across a nice example. Anyway, the watch itself, it came on a metal expandable Fixoflex strap, which didn't really suit it very well. So I've recently, well not recently, I subsequently purchased this material strap, NATO style, which I think suits it better in the olive green. Now the Bulova is a 1960s approximately, so I think it's something like early 1960s, 17 jewels. It has the 11AF movement, a Swiss movement. Bulova is an extremely well thought of, high quality watch manufacturer based in New York. I hadn't actually heard of them before I bought this watch. They passed me by. They've got some very famous watches. One of the watches I think went up to the moon with an astronaut. What's it called? Actron, which was one of the very first quartz movement watches. But this one is a mechanical watch, hand wound, extremely slim. I think you can see on the crown there, the writing Bulova. It's very, very nice quality. Being an older watch, it's got a plastic crystal, which I'm probably going to replace because it's got a slight little crack in one corner and there's a little bit of movement on the crystal. It's a little bit loose. I'm not sure if that's the correct size or what. Now, I purchased this being my first vintage watch, mainly because I happened to be watching an old series of The Saint with Roger Moore, and I could see he was wearing quite an interesting watch. So I looked it up on eBay, and he wore Bulova watches. He wore a couple of different styles, and they were kind of like a product placement in the series. So I wanted to basically copy his style, and for my first vintage watch, I hunted out a Bulova. Obviously, I knew it wasn't going to be as expensive as an Omega, but they do have the quality. I know they're slightly controversial with watch collectors. Some people liking the brand, some others not. I think they're a bit underrated. The quality is very nice. I've got an Omega, and I think it's definitely on par quality-wise with anything really that was out there at the time. I mean, this dial is only 30 millimeters, so it's quite a small watch for today's standards. It's got metallic indices and the numbers there you can see reflecting the light. Now, I did clean this watch up quite a bit, polishing up the case and actually cleaning the dial carefully. You do have to be very careful because sometimes you can rub off the the print or whatever. But because it's good quality, it's all on there pretty well. So some light, gentle cleaning. I think I used something like a cotton bud and just some very little bit of kind of soapy water, a tiny bit, just to dab away at the dirt, and the dials come up nicely. Another reason, if I get a new crystal, and there's actually a guy who does crystals in my town, so hopefully he's going to sort me one out, and that will look even sharper. Interesting on this watch, I was trying to get the movement out, and to take the movement out you have to remove the crown end, and it's hard to explain this. Yeah, the crown stem is kind of split. There's like a male and female, like a puzzle piece. They go together, a little bit like a kind of puzzle piece. They slide together, and it's tiny. So when I did that, I managed to kind of work that out, got the crown out. The movement then can drop away from the case, and doing so, I dropped the small piece of this stem, this tiny piece with the puzzle end, which, you know, you need a magnifying glass to even see it. Luckily I found it again, worked out what to do. We've managed to slot that back in, and it's good to go. But yeah, just a little design feature I've never seen on another watch, that the stem is in two parts held together with a kind of joint, like a little puzzle joint. So it's pretty stylish, this watch, although a bit small for large wrists. I've got a 6.5 inch wrist. It doesn't look too bad. It's definitely on the small size, but I have worn this on occasion. So I'll show you what it looks like on my 6.5 inch wrist. Just before that, to give you an idea, when it was on the metal expanding bracelet, it sat even flatter to my wrist. Now with this NATO style bracelet, or strap I should say, it beefs it out a little bit underneath the watch, so it sits a little bit higher because the watch is extremely slim. You can see there, I mean, I haven't measured it, but you can see it's extremely slim, which was probably a selling point at the time. It was quite fashionable to have very slim, thin watches, but I found it just looks too flat on the wrist. At least with two pieces of material underneath it, it's pushing it out slightly. So I'll just take off my Casio, which I'm wearing today, the F91W, which isn't a large watch, so it won't look much smaller than that because this is quite a small watch anyway. Just to show you the back of the watch before I put it on. Just take it off the strap for a second. There's a light engraving, very rough engraving of the chap's name who must have owned it before. And it's saying it's waterproof, anti-magnetic. The Bulova patent number, shock resistant, stainless steel case, which is good. Having a bit of trouble focusing here. Okay, let's put the strap back on. Okay, so I've obviously put the strap back on, and that's what it looks like. Not a bad looking watch at all. Now, I mentioned I've had this for a whole year now, and obviously I haven't worn it very often, and it's been in my collection in a box. But what I have done is every couple of weeks I've given it a wind, and it's still working nicely, and this is keeping very, very good time. Very good time. But as I said in my other video, the video I brought out before this, having vintage watches is a little bit of an annoyance as well, because you can buy something that's fully working, and of course, perhaps after a few months, it stops working because it probably needs a service. And I can't do a service. I haven't got the correct screwdrivers. I have managed to get the fly, what's it called, balance wheel jewel out of another watch before. So I think it is possible, but you really do need the correct screwdrivers. I've got some watch screwdrivers and they're just not up to the job. Although they're small enough, they're not finely engineered enough because they're quite cheap, and they just won't unscrew some of the screws that you need to unscrew to be able to service a watch. So without those, and a set of good proper watch screwdrivers are quite expensive. So I might look out for a proper professional set and get those in the future. But the ones you buy off eBay that you see, these watch screwdrivers, they're just not worth the money. They're rubbish. They look the part, but they're just not, they won't undo the screws, the small screws anyway. So as I was saying, if you do have to service it, you're going to take it to someone who can professionally do it. There are some chaps out there you can send the watch to, and for £50 they will do a service. But that's £50. This watch cost me, what was it, £23? So at the moment it's all working great. I just hope it carries on working. But that is the kind of issue with vintage watches. That's why sometimes I quite like to keep them for a while, and then whilst they're still working, sell them on. So enjoy the ownership of them for a while, and before they pack up, sell them on, let someone else have a go, perhaps someone who can service it themselves in the future. Because this was my first vintage watch, I've kept it really for sentimental values, and I think I probably will hold on to this. But my other one, which is in my last video, the Longines of a similar age, that was working when I bought it. That cost me about £80. And recently that stopped working. I managed to get it going again with a little bit of lighter fuel, but it's a bit problematic. It does stop after a while, and then it'll start. So it definitely needs a service. But again, that's gonna mean me spending money, which is a bit of an annoyance, because maybe I should have sold it a couple of months ago when it was still working properly. Now I've got the dilemma where it's not working properly and you've got to spend money to get it back into that working state. So, especially now I have the box with this one as well, I think I would do quite well with this watch all the time it's working. So I've got to make a decision, either keep hold of it or sell it now before it decides to pack up. But I don't know, that could be a couple of years in the future. I really don't know how long a watch can go between services, something like one of these old watches. They do say about every 5 years you need to service a mechanical watch, but I think sometimes they can go on for many years, especially if you're only using it every once in a while. Then it's not getting much use. It's like a car. You're not putting many miles on it if you're only taking the car out once a week. So that's my kind of theory, that hopefully just by winding it once every couple of weeks, it could go on for a few years before it needs servicing again. Now it's pretty difficult on eBay to find watches for £23 that are working, Bulovas anyway. I think this was beginner's luck when I bought this, because I've been looking for quite a while, and yeah, you'll find vintage watches, but you won't, or you'd be very lucky to find a Bulova for that kind of money that's actually working. So I was pretty lucky there, but it can happen. right place, right time during the week when not many people are looking at these watches. You can pick up a bargain. If you look on a Sunday evening or a Saturday evening, there's tons of watches, but they're all going for top money because everyone is on the internet at that time looking at eBay watches, especially if they've been having a beer or something, they're going to spend a little bit more. But if you're looking at ones that end on a Wednesday around 11 o'clock in the morning, you've got a better chance because obviously most people are at work and they haven't got a chance to look at what's being for sale. So guys, that is a video about my first vintage watch, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please press the like button and subscribe to see more watch related videos. If you look back at my other videos, you'll see I have many videos on different vintage watches and some more modern watches as well. Anyway, thank you very much. Take care.